Hey there, and welcome back to another episode of Watch or Not, the series I think the first episode of an anime set based on it, whether I keep on watching the show or not, and today I'll be taking the past anime of Winter 2019 and judging them all over again. The twist being that I watched all of them to see just how well my judgment of them before held up after watching them fully, except some that are going on for 24 episodes. Those I've only seen like 12 episodes of. So let's get into the best anime season that's come out this far. Until next week, when a new anime season begins and people are gonna be like, oh, that's the best anime season this far. And then the next, and then the next. Boogie Pop 2019. The longest series of winter season with 18 episodes. It's a massive story about supernatural stuff that's happening, with Boogie Pop being our central figure. What I found good about it is that there were some pretty nice fight scenes that happened once in a while, and the story is coherent. Everything seems connected, the characters interact with each other a lot, and some stories come around and interact with other little stories that were in the show. It has interesting characters, interesting monsters, and overall the science fiction part was strong. But for the final verdict, it's gonna get a nod. It was weirdly boring. Sure, everything made sense in a way, but none of the characters had much motivation. Things just seemed to happen. Nobody seemed to play any important role in the story. Even Boogie Pop barely appears in their own freaking story. And even then, they're just mostly a deus ex machina to resolve any threats. While it wasn't a bad watch, it didn't bring any interesting stuff to the table. And around the climax, I thought to myself that if I were to stop here, at the most interesting part in the anime, then I would never miss it, and I wouldn't even care to continue watching it. That's not a very good sign. Promised Neverland. Now, this I gave a watch to, and holy hell, this is a watch. It's like Chicken Run the anime, but with little kids. Bet no one's made that joke before. But in all seriousness, I love the presentation, the world, literally everything. It's an intense story where we instantly start to learn how cruel the world can be and how messed up everything is, and then just racking our brains on how the kids could get to safety. At points I did start to feel a bit of disbelief because those dudes are 10 years old and they're already smarter than I could ever be. But like, it's just entertainment and they're probably being fed some kind of brain steroids, so I shouldn't feel too incompetent. And this still gets a watch. I highly recommend it. An interesting story about an eerily born baby who gets their limbs and organs sacrificed to demons for the betterment of the nation. He manages to survive, and this is where the anime kicks in, telling us his story about fighting demons and regaining his property. Aside from defeating monsters, there are also these different dramas going on with other people around him that helps with the world building. And it's interesting to see him come to grips with his new powers, like smelling stuff or hearing things for the first time, because he does recover some parts of him when a demon is defeated. This is still a watch, and I can't wait to see him turning into a real boy and seeing how he reacts to his pin, Kaguya-sama, the comedy that nobody can stop hyping about, and I gave it a nod. Oh boy, people sure didn't like that. But now that I've seen all the episodes, I can for certain say that I still haven't changed my mind. In fact, the first episode was probably the best episode in the series. It gave a solid introduction to the characters and the presentation was spot on. The rest of the show is almost exactly the same. So if you like the comedy in the first episode, go for it. But it doesn't really have anything else going for it, and since the comedy is pretty slapsticky and revolves around pretty average stuff with it just being over the top a bit, yeah, I'm just not that fond of slapstick in professional production. It doesn't really make me laugh. I'll just leave that kind of stuff up to YouTubers who want to get some cheap laughs. Rising of the Shield Hero. Ooh. I couldn't hype this stuff up further than I did when I gave it a watch. The thing is that it began with such a unique take on the isekai genre. Well, it wasn't exactly the most unique, with a pretty generic introduction to the series and the plot, but I immediately fell in love with it, and even thinking that it might be the best isekai in existence. The main character has to instantly go through some solid hardships, and he is pretty relatable when compared to other blank slates, so it makes me a bit sad to say that the tropes come back halfway in. A harem of girls gets formed who love their master, and he gets overpowered powers. Yay. Let's make something refreshing so the people who say isekai's bad get hooked again, and then just double cross them and go back to the basics to get cheap views off of basic boys who don't care for writing and just want some awesome ass whooping, to feel better about themselves for sitting around and doing nothing because they too hopefully have some hidden powers inside of them that they just haven't mastered yet. But it's still a watch because exactly, it hooked me in, and now I just want to see him whoop the ass of all the other heroes. Mob Psycho 100 Season 2. While I was a bit hesitant in the beginning because it seemed to focus more on Mob as a character and less on the humor and wacky adventures that it had going on in the first season, which actually made the show for me and made me fall in love with it, the second season managed to grow on me. It does present us with some interesting adventures, but most of them are just to advance his relationships and personality. It's still a watch and a solid contender for the anime of the year, with its top-notch animation and an impactful story where every episode made me feel something for it. So at least one anime got a good second season from the looks of it. Kakegurui XX. Boy, you sure messed up with the naming scheme, cause you can't make a third season cause that already exists as some other form of stuff. It turned out exactly as I presumed. You just had season 1, but with new characters and new games. They even tried upping the stakes again, but the more insane they went, the less anything even meant something, and it somehow felt weaker than the first season. Don't get me wrong, the episodes were still competent. It had bombastic gambling and weird faces. Everything that was strong in the first season was still strong in the second season, but it didn't advance in any aspect. It's still a watch though. I did find some entertainment value in there, so I didn't feel bad while sitting through it. But, like, yeah, I'm not looking forward to the third season, if there ever is gonna be one. And boy, that ending was so stupid. Oh my god, that ending, who the fuck ends on a domestic girlfriend? In my earlier video, I stated that it had some strong emotional moments in there, but turned into a rom-com that seemed kind of predictable, and boy, was I wrong. It didn't turn into as much of a predictable trope fest as I presumed. The hard-hitting emotional moments are there, and a lot of real moments are thrown in throughout the anime. They deal with cheating, love, family, and I dig the dynamic between the characters. It's a soap opera in the form of an anime. Same amount of drama and BS with twists everywhere. Just the quick and funky edits are missing. So it's not the hot garbage that I was presuming, but it's still a not. It wasn't bad, but again, I couldn't get invested. That kind of bizarre, weird relationship drama just isn't for me. And I somehow feel like the ending was maybe supposed to be emotional and difficult, but I felt nothing. Nothing! Miss Wano. Super mixed feelings about this show. I like the inventiveness of Miss Wano. In each episode she brought up something really creative and made a joke with it that was good, but that was the only joke for the episode, and they turned that one joke into the whole episode and kept repeating it, so it grew kinda tired very fast. What made it a bit worse was how perverted it was, since everybody was underage and the inventions were, yeah, focused mostly on sexual stuff. Some episodes were really good, like where they turned stockings into a pet, but some were just weird, like drinking water that was made from a person's body sweat through their underwear, getting an umbrella stuck in a yeah, and panties that can charge stuff by rubbing them. Aside from wacky inventions, it had nothing else going for it, and it still stays a not. WZs, or the second season of Handshakers. Okay, I talked about Boogie Pop Phantom before and how everything was connected and coherent and understandable but still a bit boring. Well, WZ is pretty much the same, except nothing is understandable and it's just boring. I couldn't even write down notes about the episodes because I barely understood what the hell was going on. Somehow, the second season is even worse than the first. Stuff just seemed to happen for no reason. Everybody does things and then they fight and try to build drama and bring new characters, and nothing plays much of a role. And I hated every second of watching this. While the first season was maybe understandable because you did get that there was a tournament and the end goal was to challenge God, here... I don't know. I haven't felt this much pain while watching an anime in a very long time. Dimension High School. The weird mix of actual film and 3D characters in a virtual world. Honestly, the parts that were supposed to be anime were the most boring parts, because it all just happened in one room and they had to solve puzzles that maybe only two I could try to guess for myself, because most of them relied on some deep knowledge of Japanese kanji, and what was it supposed to do with that? I'm still keeping my watch and it turned out exactly as I expected. But it's not a good watch. It's a so bad that it's good watch. As in, the acting was so over the top and bad that it was just funny. But binging 13 episodes is a bit too much. The last episode didn't even have anything related to anime, and it wasn't really even connected. It was more of a filler episode and a Halloween episode, which didn't make any sense, but it reminded me of a YouTube vlog because of the quality, and that mindset made it a pretty interesting watch. I would never watch it again or anything similar, but yeah, I'm happy that I got to experience it at least once. I mean, I liked getting one time, but I sure as hell I'm not gonna do it twice. So as you can see, I got 1 out of 11 wrong. The 1 episode rule is supreme. They don't call it a pilot episode for a reason, because if the pilot crashes, well, everybody's just dead. But now, it's up to you. What show do you think needs a full review? The most commented and liked one will get a full review. And also, recommend me new anime from the spring season of 2019. I'll cover the most recommended ones, but personally, I'm really looking forward to one